So, you know, like I was telling you earlier, Aaron, there are really only 4 things we teach. And at a lot of camps, we'll get an NFL guy that I've trained to come out, and the kids will see that we're doing the same stuff. A little more subtle, a little more sophisticated. But really it comes down to 4 things that are essential to any snapper. Beyond that, you find what works and go with it. I'm not of the school of thought that there's only one right way to do this. 4 fundamentals have to be mastered. One is getting set up right. That means a perfectly balanced neutral 2-point stance where we just happen to be bent over at the waist to throw a ball through our legs. That's concept number 1, set up right, optimizing. The second thing is what we call directionality of motion, and that means getting everything going in the right direction. With long snapping means we need to take all motion energy, channel it back towards our target. All right, energy should travel down the spine, up through the legs, into the hips at an angle of about 15 to 20 degrees so that those 2 energies can converge in an arrow point and be directed straight at our target. The third concept we teach is what we call optimizing the setup, or I'm sorry, efficiency. I misspoke. And efficiency basically is nothing more than, number 1, getting rid of the ball quickly, and number 2, any wasted motion that is not contributory to accelerating the football. And generally that manifests as a hitch. A hitch tells us basically that you're not set up right to begin with, so what you're doing is you're adjusting the setup during the motion. Waste time, waste energy, it's counterproductive, and so we got to get rid of it. And then the 4th thing is real hard in football. It's called power. Throw hard every time. You know. So coming into camp, what we saw with you is basically a couple things. You're a blind snapper who throws the head down and through. That's one style of snapping. Okay, it's just an observation. Doesn't mean it's good, bad, or better than another one, but if it works for you, that's great. You're a little overextended downfield. You've got the ball a little too far out in front of you, and what that tends to do is pull too much weight forward in your stance. Okay. A lot of times we'll see that manifested by either having the knees out ahead of the toes, and yours are slightly, okay, which means we've got too much weight forward, or we can see the heels off the ground. I'm exaggerating now, but you've got too much weight forward in the stance, all right? Very hard to accelerate powerfully back in the opposite direction based on that. So we need to essentially do this. We need to raise your front end a little bit. That'll take you a little more vertically distant from the ball, meaning that your arm extension is good even if you bring the ball a little bit closer. And as we bring that ball closer, we're going to be able to shift weight back into the hips until the knees are directly over the toes and the heels are in contact with the ground, which is our indication that you're in a balanced, neutral, optimized type of setup, okay? That's really what we need to work on. The other thing we've got is you're a little tall in the saddle for a blind snapper. What that means is your relationship of your shoulders to your hips. We call that the shoulders to hip slope angle. A guy who looks back will generally set up with his hips slightly higher than the shoulders, and that's good for energy transfer during the motion. A blind snapper, on the other hand, wants to be pretty much horizontal to the ground, shoulders to hips. And you've got your rear up in the air a little bit. As a blind snapper, that may bias you or trend you towards snapping the ball high. Whatever that slope angle is going to pretty much parallel the flight of the ball, okay, especially when you release it. So we need to get that sorted out. We need to sit you a little deeper in the stance. And as we raise up the front, shove the weight back, we can just increase knee bend slightly, and that should take care of it. All right. The last thing we've got is you're right-handed. You're kind of pulling the left hand off before it can do much. This thing is centered on the body, so we can not only control with the left hand, we can also help accelerate. It's a two-handed acceleration and control. All right. So the more we can get that hand to stay with you, the better off you're going to be. Hop in here. We're going to do a little technique I call 3-step stance optimization. We kind of invented this, and it works real well. Go ahead and set up and just work with me on this. You haven't seen it before, but what I'm going to do once you're set is I'm going to pull you forward. Go ahead and lean on the ball when you need to. Okay? What that just did is it made sure your knee bend is not too deep, 90 degrees or less, straightened your back, and fully extended your arms. Good, fundamentally sound, basic football. Straight back, leg flexed in a power position, well balanced and leveraged. Okay? Then I'm going to grab you and lift you up. What we're doing there is we're maximizing your operating room under the torso. Very important, especially once you get your pads and helmet on. Okay? Last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to push you back towards the target, not down to the ground, okay, but back into the hips towards the target till the heels touch the ground, knees are over the toes, and you're solid on your feet. Now, if we're not sure that you're well balanced, we'll just have you lift the ball off the ground. And if there's any shift in weight, we get you perfectly balanced, drop it down, and that's a pretty much optimized stance. Try a throw from there, see how it feels. Not bad. That's all right. That's all right. We're going to work on it. We got all day. I'll just be 1 second, yeah. We're just filming. Okay. All right. I'm going to 3-step you one more time, and I'm going to have you do that gimme 5 drill to work on getting that left hand through. Now, positive grip with this hand. Take this hand off, lift the ball up. That's how much grip you need with that to both accelerate and control. Okay? Set it down, get the other hand on, pull you forward, raise you up, push you back and in. You could sit a little deeper if you're comfortable. Is there any pressure in the hip flexors?
A little.
Okay, that's not productive. Let's try moving the knees out slightly, or the toes out. Is that more comfortable?
Yeah.
Let's try that right there. We never want tension because that slows down the motion. Throw it hard. Oh, give me 5, Joel. Sorry. Give me 5 with your hand as you come through and release the ball. Better, better, okay? We're going to do one more thing because there's a tendency to overpower and throw the ball to the right. Go ahead and set up. I'm going to show you how you get yourself adjusted without me 3-stepping you, okay? So coming in, you're a little overextended, kind of stretched out too much. Knees are out ahead of the toes, a little too much weight forward. So I raised your front end, shifted the weight back into the hips, brought the heels to the ground, knees over toes, and increased the knee bend slightly in the process. Is that okay? All right. Now the last thing we're going to do to straighten out that throw, take the ball and move it an inch over in your stance. Give me 5 coming through. I bet you're going to hit the center of the target. Yep. Okay. So setting up properly is about 85% of being world class. If you're set up right, everything goes where it should, which means down the spine, up the legs, into the hips, and straight at your target. Okay? That is that mission critical, so we'll come back to that over and over and over. But essentially, don't be too forward where you pulled low on the front, high on the rear, and off balance. Raise the front end, shorten up a bit. In the process, shove the weight in the hips until you're balanced, okay? And increase knee bend ever so slightly. That's really what we need to work on. Last thing is let's get that left hand through. Let's do one more snap. And I think offsetting the ball is going to help you too. I'm just going to write that down. To the right, okay? Try to adjust yourself. Lift that ball up, see if you're balanced. All right, comfortable? See the shift in weight? Try that right there. Offset the ball, you already did. Give me 5, come through. Throw hard with 2 hands, thumbs to the sky, roll it off all 10 fingers. There it is, it's coming along, okay? Any questions on that? Okay, we'll keep coming back to it. The one thing you're not going to have on your video is baseline filming, which is as you are coming in. Actually, you know what, we'll just do that right now. But we already looked at you and evaluated you, and you know what you're working on, okay? All right? Just go. Sit into it a little bit. You're a little tall in the back, that's why you went high. There you go. Go hard. That's what we're after. Good job. Let's move it. That's much better. Along, right? So good. Go back.